Welcome to Smart English School. In today's episode, we will talk about a love story inspired by Celine Dion and René Angélil, a story about music, trust, patience, dreams, and a love that became larger than fame itself. Long before Celine Dion became one of the most famous singers in the world, she was a young girl from Quebec, Canada, growing up in a big family filled with songs, noise, laughter, and simple dreams. Her family did not have great wealth, but they had music in their home, and music was almost like another family member. It was present at meals, celebrations, quiet evenings, and emotional moments. Celine's voice was different from the beginning. It was strong, clear, emotional, and full of something that people could feel even before they fully understood it. Her mother and brother believed that this voice deserved to be heard, so they sent a recording of her singing to a music manager named René Angélil. René had heard many voices before. He knew the music world, with all its beauty and all its difficulties. He understood that talent alone was not enough. A singer also needed discipline, courage, good guidance, and someone who truly believed in them. When René listened to Celine's cassette tape, he was deeply moved. It was not just a professional reaction. He heard something rare, something honest, something powerful. He felt that this young singer had a gift that could one day touch millions of people. At that time, his role in her life was not romantic. He became her manager, her guide, and one of the first people outside her family who truly believed in her future. He helped her take her first steps into the music industry, a world that could be exciting but also frightening. For Celine, René became someone she could trust. He was calm when things were uncertain. He was confident when others doubted. He saw not only what she was, but what she could become. This is where their story begins, not with sudden love, not with a dramatic romantic moment, but with belief. Sometimes the deepest stories begin when one person sees a light in another person and decides to protect it until the whole world can see it too. As the years passed, Celine grew from a talented young girl into a confident young woman and a serious artist. Her voice became stronger, her stage presence became more powerful, and her dreams became bigger. René was beside her through many of these years, helping her make decisions, guiding her career, and teaching her how to survive in a difficult industry. He understood that success required more than singing beautifully. It required patience, sacrifice, hard work, and the ability to continue even when the road felt too long. For Celine, René was a mentor before anything else. He helped her understand the business of music, but he also helped her believe in herself. He encouraged her to learn, to improve, and to prepare for an international career. Their bond was built slowly. It was built through rehearsals, travel, studio sessions, performances, interviews, disappointments, and victories. It was built during quiet conversations after long days, when the lights were off and the applause had disappeared. Over time, Celine began to see René not only as a manager, but as a person with a generous heart, a strong mind, and deep loyalty. René saw Celine becoming not only a great singer, but also a woman of courage, kindness, and emotional strength. Their relationship changed only later, when Celine was an adult, and this is important to understand. What began as professional trust slowly became emotional closeness, and what began as guidance slowly became love. Their love did not arrive like lightning in a storm. It arrived like morning light, little by little, until everything looked different. Celine's feelings were not simple for her at first, because René had been such an important figure in her life for so long. She worried about what people might think. She worried about the difference in their ages. She worried about whether the world would understand. But love often grows in places where fear also lives. René, too, understood the seriousness of their bond. He knew that their relationship would be discussed, judged, and questioned. Yet between them, there was something very real: loyalty, respect, emotional honesty, and a shared life built around music. They were not two strangers falling suddenly in love. They were two people who had walked a long road together and discovered that their hearts had slowly learned the same language.
When Celine and René finally shared their love with the world, it became part of the public story of her life, but the deepest part of it remained private. To the public, they were a famous singer and her husband manager. To each other, they were partners in a life that was both extraordinary and very human. Their wedding felt like something from a fairy tale, elegant and emotional. But their marriage was not only about beauty, fame, and celebration. It was about everyday devotion. René continued to support Celine's career, but now his support carried another kind of tenderness. He was proud of her not only because she was successful, but because he had seen every step of the journey. He remembered the young girl with the cassette tape. He remembered the uncertainty, the early struggles, the moments when success was only a dream. Celine, in turn, loved René not only because he had helped build her career, but because he had given her a sense of safety. In a world where many people wanted something from her, René was the person who seemed to stand beside her with steady devotion. When she sang, he listened not only as a manager, but as someone who knew the story behind every note. When she stood on great stages, he was often nearby, watching with pride. For many fans, their love became part of the emotion of Celine's music. Her songs about love, longing, and devotion felt even more powerful because people believed she understood those feelings deeply. But their life was not only romantic, it was full of pressure. Fame can be beautiful, but it can also be heavy. There are schedules, expectations, criticism, travel, and loneliness. There are moments when the public sees only the glittering dress, the bright lights, and the perfect voice, while the private person is tired, afraid, or missing home. Through these pressures, Celine and René remained connected by trust. Their love was not perfect, because real love is never perfect. Real love includes difficult conversations, sacrifices, worries, and days when strength is needed more than poetry. But their love had roots. It was not built only on passion. It was built on years of shared struggle. René had believed in Celine before the world applauded her, and Celine loved René not only in the bright seasons of success, but also in the darker seasons when life became fragile. The most emotional part of their story came when illness entered their life. Love is easy to describe when everything is beautiful, but its true meaning often appears when life becomes painful. René faced serious health problems, and Celine found herself in one of the hardest roles of her life. She was still a global star, still loved by millions, still expected to perform with strength and grace, but inside her heart there was fear. The man who had guided her, protected her, supported her, and loved her was now the one who needed care, patience, and comfort. Celine stood beside him. She adjusted her life, her work, and her heart around the reality of his illness. This part of their love story is not only sad, it is deeply human. It shows that love is not only holding hands in beautiful places. Love is sitting beside someone when they are weak. Love is listening when words are difficult. Love is being present when there is no perfect solution. Love is choosing devotion again and again, even when the future is uncertain. For Celine, singing during this period must have carried a different weight. Every song about love, loss, hope, or memory could become personal. Every applause from an audience might have been mixed with private pain. People saw the superstar on stage, but behind the superstar was a woman trying to be strong for the person she loved. René, too, must have understood the depth of her devotion. He had once helped her find her place in the world. Now she was helping him face the hardest chapter of his life with dignity. Their love became quieter, but perhaps even stronger. It was no longer about building a career or standing in front of cameras. It was about the simple and sacred act of staying. When René passed away, Celine lost not only her husband, but also her longtime partner, her manager, her protector, and one of the central figures in her life story. Grief like that does not disappear quickly. It becomes part of a person. It changes the way they breathe, remember, speak, and sing. But even after René's death, their love did not simply end. Some loves continue as memory, as influence, as courage, as a voice inside the heart. For Celine, René remained part of the music, part of the silence before a song, part of the strength she carried when she returned to the stage.
In the end, the love story of Celine Dion and René Angélil is not only a story about a famous singer and the man who believed in her. It is a story about how love can grow from trust, how belief can change a life, and how two people can become part of each other's destiny in a way that time cannot erase. Their story reminds us that behind every great public success, there are often private sacrifices that no audience fully sees. We hear the beautiful voice, but we do not always see the long years of work behind it. We see the performance, but not always the person standing in the shadows, helping the dream survive. René was there at the beginning, when Celine was not yet a world-famous name. He listened, believed, and invested his heart in her future. Celine, in return, gave him not only success, but love, loyalty, and a shared life full of meaning. Their relationship had challenges, and like every real love story, it was shaped by complexity. But perhaps that is why it continues to move people. It was not a simple fairy tale. It was a human story with light and shadow, music and silence, joy and grief. For English learners, this story also gives us beautiful words to remember: trust, devotion, courage, patience, promise, memory, and love. Trust means believing in someone. Devotion means staying loyal with your whole heart. Courage means continuing even when life is difficult. Patience means allowing something important to grow slowly. A promise is not only something we say, it is something we live. And memory is the place where love continues when someone is no longer physically beside us. Celine's voice became known around the world, but René was one of the first people who truly heard it. That is a powerful idea. Sometimes love begins with listening. Sometimes one person changes another person's life simply by saying, "I believe in you." And sometimes, even after goodbye, that belief remains like music in the air. So when we think about Celine and René, we can think not only about fame, concerts, and beautiful songs, but about a deeper message. Real love is not only about being together in happy moments. Real love is about walking together through dreams, fears, illness, loss, and memory. It is about helping another person become who they were meant to be. It is about giving strength, receiving strength, and carrying someone in your heart long after the final note has faded.